What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Read Reviews podcast. On this show, we do we review things such as movies, TV shows, even video games sometimes. You know, don't do them too often, but every once in a while.
Yeah, sometimes.
We'll throw them in there. But I'm trying to do a little intro where I actually talk about what we talk about on this show, because I noticed that other podcasts do that, and I feel like that's probably a good thing to tell people about, especially somebody that's never ever watched our podcast. So that's going to be a work in progress a little bit. You know, that wasn't too great, but it's going to be it's going to be a work in progress coming over the next few weeks here, because I just want to spice it up a little bit more, make it a little bit better. Cody, how are you doing? You enjoying the nice day? Did you get anything done today? Did you get to spend some time outside at all?
Not necessarily outside,
No.
but it was a nice day at work, and then I practiced drums.
Okay.
And started a load of laundry.
Yeah, you got that's a productive day.
Yeah.
That was more than I got fucking done today.
Well, I got to get ready because I'm leaving early tomorrow to go to California. So
Oh my god.
I have a 6 a.m. flight.
What's that one? Did we talk about that before? I think we did.
Probably
what's that?
not. Only because it just recently happened. But my grandma just passed away.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going down to do memorial stuff with family and all my extended family and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, should be a lot of emotions and a lot of people in one setting.
Yeah,
Should be fun.
I don't mean to make light of it, but like it's luckily it's a grandparent rather than, you know, we've had other friends that passed away. So
No,
it's a little better when it's a grandparent. It's not good still.
That's all I've been telling people is I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm not down there. So once I'm there for this and see all my family, I'll be like very sad and whatnot and grieve for the weekend. But overall, it's like, with some of the experiences we've already gone through, I'm like, it was a long-lived life. Like, she lived into her 90s. It was just old age.
How old was she?
Probably 90 or 91.
Jesus, yeah.
But
that's a life.
Yeah, and we knew, like, some of her health was deteriorating. And we were kind of aware, so it was going to happen. But, you know, I'm more like, it's more of a celebration, I think, for me, because it's not, she got to live her full...
It's
sustainable life.
It's cheesy, but I like the idea of calling them celebrations of life instead of funerals, because I think it's a little more, especially somebody who's lived like a full like life, and you just get together with all your family. It's like a little family reunion for a sad thing, but you get to see everybody. Yeah, and especially you getting to go down to California. It's kind of nice. It's not too bad.
So
it's not as bad.
I'm like, I was doing laundry to get stuff ready, and then I don't even know if I'll go to bed tonight. I already stay up late, and if we're catching the flight at 6 a.m., it's like probably wake up around...
Dude, I do the same thing. I do the same thing. If we have an early flight, I just stay up all night and then I sleep on the plane. Most people say they're like, oh, I can't sleep on the plane. I can for whatever reason, so it's not a problem for me. But
not often do I sleep on a plane, but I can. And we're only going to California, but it's sadly not a direct flight, so I do have to go to Seattle. That's like I hate having to get on a plane to go to Seattle just because it's... less time.
It's dumb.
You spend less time traveling than you do actually doing all the bullshit in an airport.
Yeah, you don't even have time to like get up and like once you got cruising altitude to go take a piss and then come back.
Yeah,
like,
so
it's like, oh yeah, we're cruising altitude. Okay, we're descending.
But yeah, I'm excited to go to California though. So that's what I'm getting ready.
Yeah, it should be fun. I have had for you that don't know, my weekends are Tuesday, Wednesdays. That's why we do the podcast on Wednesdays, because it's like the only day that I can do. We could do it on Tuesdays, but it's nice to be able for me to watch things fresh on Tuesday, or at least like during the day on Wednesday, and then talk about them. It just makes it a lot easier. So I have been trying to get shit done for the last 2 weeks, but I've been so busy at work this last month, because I was just telling Cody when we were off the podcast, but this month is a very important month, and I've been grinding and working a lot to try to achieve goals on it. And so I haven't been able to get stuff done. So I was trying to do yard work, and I know I'm saying all this, and then I went golfing today, so I used some of my own free time to do that. But.
And you're getting important stuff done that can get done now because you're kind of on a hot streak, so you might as well keep going with it. Yeah. And it's not that you're not getting stuff done; it's just the other stuff is a less of a priority right now.
Yeah. And today was the last 2 days have been, just not normal. Days for the end of March. It's been today. Apparently, it was 75 and sunny.
We skipped the 60s and we went straight to 70s.
But we're going right back to it.
Yeah,
we're going right back to it. It's supposed to be 50 and rainy for the next 10 days.
60s. It's like we're just avoiding that. We'll go straight up to the 70s.
So it was super nice on my 2 days off that I had here. So I spent a lot of time outside. I went for a walk yesterday. I went to the gym. I played volleyball, which that's technically indoors, but I just had a very active day yesterday. And then today I woke up at like 8 o'clock and I went golfing, and then I had to come back and I had to buy all this stuff for prepping food. Like it's just been busy. I haven't been able to get all the things done that I've wanted to get done, but and so now we got the podcast. So
but we're getting this done.
Yeah, we're getting this done, and I wanted to get this done because goddamn, we're talking about Severance. I actually watched something else. I watched
once again for like the 4th or 5th episode, but you get the gist.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but I actually watched something else. It was that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the Mutant Mayhem, I think is what it was called. It was made by Seth Rogen. Really cool art style.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, I don't really want to talk about that and dive into it. I might just do it next week because I just want to talk about Severance and just get right into it. Severance season 2.
It's important.
It's done. We've watched the entire season. I watched the season finale about an hour ago. I purposely waited until right before the podcast to watch it because I wanted to have it fresh and right in my mind. You've been caught up pretty much week to week for like the last couple weeks, right? Or a few weeks?
Yeah, probably like the last 2 to 3 episodes at least of the season.
Yeah, so I think since we last talked, I watched it was probably 8, 9, and 10. I'm guessing is probably what it was.
I think because you had seen the like Gemma episode.
Yep.
And then the next one would have been Cobell. I remember you saying you saw like the intro to Cobell.
Yep. Yeah.
So
and I actually don't remember what the in between. I don't know. Again, they all blur together. But let's just
the in between was basically your classic like we have to set up for the finale.
Yeah.
It just got to the point where all the characters were in a position of like something could happen, but like. It's all set up, but it was still a good episode.
So we're diving in, and I just wanted to do this because it's fun, because I got control of the 1s and 2s, but spoiler alert. I'm flashing the spoiler alert. Spoilers, baby. Jesus Christ, man. This show, especially just having... Because I watched 8 and 9 a couple days ago and watched 10 today, the season finale. And I was watching it with my roommate, Dilly, the guy who's producing it sometimes, and he had already watched it before, and I'm just watching it, and I'm full on sitting on my couch, and I'm fully torqued, as I like to say. And I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm just like, what the fuck's gonna happen? What are we doing? What's going on? Jesus Christ, don't do that. Why are we doing this? And it's just it was great. It really stressed me out. I didn't really understand the actual full ending of it. Kind of confusing.
I mean, like, we'll get in, for sure.
But so one thing that, and it's kind of weird because I can't remember what I've talked about with you and what I've talked about with Dylan. I guess I haven't talked to you about this because I wouldn't have watched it yet. But the Selvig episode.
Yeah.
So she apparently made everything at Lumen.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Not James.
Also, who is her sissy lady? Is that a sister? Oh, it's an aunt.
It's her mom's sister. So her mom. Her mom was the one who was like super anti-Lumen. Like, she fucking hated it. But then her aunt kind of saw the daughter or her niece and probably was like, I'm going to still try and make you my prodigy almost. And we're going to like, and then she put her into the schooling system that they had along with the child labor system of working in the factories.
So is
fully ingrained at a young age.
I know we already skipped about it, but I kind of want to do this. Let's backtrack a little bit. What do you think about the whole overarching... I guess we can do the entire series now, but if you want to just do season 2, what do you think about the show? Just a quick, maybe like 1 minute thing about it.
I mean, so if it's just season 2, I still love it just as much as season 1.
Yeah.
I think it's still, every episode is awesome. It's like, there may be 1 or 2 episodes here or there that are like a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm trying to find things that I don't like, if that's the case, which is... I like that. It's like so well done. I still think the plot is so interesting and it's going in really, really cool ways. And I've looked at what people say online and on Reddit and stuff. I'm just fascinated by everyone's vast,
it's fun to see. It's
like
fun to
super,
see.
super varied opinions on certain things where I'm like, I don't see it that way, but so I see some people just absolutely despised the ending and were like, nope, or they gave up after season 1 somehow. And I'm like,
that's wild.
I for what it's doing,
that's some internet nonsense.
Yeah, and
that's some internet nonsense.
And 90% of the time, it feels like it's just someone who knows if they just say that opinion, it gets people riled up, and it's just to get people riled up.
Yeah.
So I'm never interacting. I just like reading it and think it's funny.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
I love all the characters. I think the writing is still amazing. It's like weirdly, it's dark comedy because it's like if anything, season 2 starts to take less of a like a comedic angle, just because I think it's
definitely
getting way more plot heavy.
And I want to get into that because that shit is dope. But
it's like the season 1 had more funny parts, just because it's more of the workplace style humor, and it's a lot of that. By the end of season 1 into season 2, things are kind of shifted a lot, where you have to get out of the office a little more, and things are going to shift. I like that. I thought it was all the ways that they were able to get out and do different things really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't even know what else to say other than it's like, I've already told like all you guys as a friend group, it's easily going into like top 5 shows right now, unless they fumble the bag super, super hard.
And that's something. So I'll go into kind of my thoughts of it. Is that's something I kind of want to go into, because at first when you were saying, because what were you saying last week, that you think that it could be like a 4 seasons potentially, or maybe 5?
At the point of not knowing how this season ended, it was like, I don't know. Yeah.
Having watched the season finale, I'm like, damn, 3. It could be. It could be 3.
I want 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I for sure am in the 3 seasons.
So going back to the thing that if you've been following us talking about Severance at all the last, whatever it is, month, and we talked initially how season 1 does kind of this. So I guess I have to say it for the people that are listening, but it kind of goes out in different directions and just opens more and more questions. And then Cody was saying how season 2 closes in the questions a little bit more. And I was telling him, I was a little bit, when we talked last, I was like, God, I feel like it's opening more. Now I don't. Now it's obviously answered things. It's obviously told us things. Things are really moving forward. Season 2 as a whole, it has really it did initially, at least to me, branch out and have more questions at first, but then it definitely dialed it back in, and especially with getting to the season finale and what happens and everything that gets revealed. And Cobell, I feel like as a whole character and seeing what's going on with her is insane.
I think they really, really held off on wanting to pull show all the cards kind of thing till the finale. Yeah. And that's probably...
they did great.
I could see how I've seen the complaint of too many cliffhangers. And I get it, how it's not always someone's kind of thing to have every episode end in a way that's like, and what's going to happen next? But I think we've said, it's like, but if you pull it off, I'm in.
And they pulled it off.
And every time they are holding and waiting, and then it's like, this was a House of the Dragon needed to really give a season finale.
Oh boy.
And all it did was give another setup. And it was like, wow, that felt terrible. This was, we've been building and building. Payoff. Whoa. Big payoff.
Good payoff, and then cliffhanger.
And still a cliffhanger, but to me, I couldn't have thought a better way to end it to keep me thinking and on board.
Yeah, and we won't dive into that quite yet, but but yeah, it's awesome. And this show, like I've said from the last few weeks of us doing this, every single thing that happens constantly is making me think so hard and making me have to use my brain so much. Like you said before we off camera, Cody was saying how he likes to pause it, he likes to rewind things, he likes to do that stuff. I did that twice watching the season finale. Yeah, because I want to talk about this specifically because this is the major standout thing is the fucking editing of Innie and Audi Mark talking.
Dude,
it's such
cool. A good scene.
It's so good. Okay. And I'm just thinking and blowing my mind the whole time. I'm like, oh,
it's so funny that we watched it separate, but you and me were probably doing the same thing because in the scene itself, I was like, oh my gosh, they're exploring this in the coolest way ever.
So dope.
And the whole time I was just like you were saying, I'm like, they're shooting this so well. It makes so much sense.
While you're trying to listen to the plot.
I fully get it. It's so cool, but what's he saying? Because this is so crucial.
Yeah, it's so important.
This is such an important conversation, and saying, rewinding, going back and being like, oh my God, this show has just it does everything I want. I didn't realize I wanted till it's happening. I'm like, this is so cool. This is so fucking cool.
Well, and they started by the Innie and Audi fully recording and then walking through the door and then having the camera back. And then they do the editing where they slowly just make it more smooth and transitional to where they're actually talking to each other. And at some point, they're just talking back and forth to each other, just switching scenes and what they're showing you just through the camera. And I was like, this is cool. And you just have to think, and if you get, this is why Severance is so great, because it makes you really think about things in a very deep, weird way. And to think that you're having this conversation with yourself, that's another version of yourself, almost like talking to yourself in another dimension, I feel like could be a weird comparison.
Yeah.
And basically telling and when it gets to the end of it, and basically telling your other self that you created, your Innie, you got to kill yourself so I can save my wife.
Yeah.
And it's fuck? What do you do there?
I loved
what
to like dive into it because that's basically the first scene of the episode. How it opens, I think, pretty much is we go straight into leaving off on Mark coming into Cobell in the room, and then it's him, Cobell, Devin, and him, and they're just like, "Hey, here's the camcorder. We're gonna go downstairs."
Yeah, because that's exactly how episode 9 ends. Yeah. Is Annie Mark walking into Selvig in the cabin?
Yeah, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Or Cobell, I don't ever.
And Cobelvik. I like that. I like that. They established that in the show. Someone said, I think Devin.
Oh, really?
I think Devin says Cobelvik at some point, and I was like, I love it. That's perfect. That's what I'm gonna call her. But the whole scene going into how they're pretty cordial at the start. It's their first meeting. Technically,
they're both mind blown. They're like, "Oh, this is crazy."
Like it starts with both of them first reaction to watching is just like, "Oh my god!" Like I'm actually not talking to myself, but I am. That whole brain fuck of like, this is me, but it's not because it's clearly not. I didn't say this to me, but I did. It's just weird. And then Audi Mark is trying to be like super cordial. His thought process, you could dive into it in so many ways where he's already at the start thinking like, okay, I think this is me, therefore he'll get what I'm trying to say.
Should think like me. He should have the same feelings for Gemma. He should get
He's
it.
Gonna understand my feelings, therefore he'll go along with it, and this shouldn't go bad. He never even thinks like I feel like it's gonna go bad.
Like no.
And then as soon as he brings up his own wife and his own love interest, the innie is like, hold on a sec. Like something shifted in the conversation. Okay, now there's like something at hand. There's a reason for this.
This is where it shows, and my God, man, the acting by fucking everybody in this show is so good. Adam Scott, it's just, he doesn't even say anything yet. It's just, it cuts to him after he sends the message of like, I'm trying to save my wife, blah, blah. Cuts to any Adam Scott, any Mark, and his face is just different.
Yeah.
He goes from like kind of being excited and a little bit jovial to like he just has that dead.
The stakes have been kind of set.
Damn, you're like, oh, he just realized.
Dude, it's so good because they both.
So good.
And Audi Mark has no real idea of what he sees Any Mark as the thing he put in there. It's his property, basically. Like you don't really get a say. And obviously, Any Mark can, I think, feel that tension in the conversation of him starting to push it and be like, look, man, like, I don't think you're getting it. As soon as you get told that in a conversation, like, all right, you're not understanding my point here, man. And you're like, no, I really think I'm getting it now.
Yeah,
like,
now it's combative.
Any Mark is like, okay, well, guess what? I have someone else. I have my own love interest. And Audi Mark's like, I think he's fucking dead serious. Too.
When he's saying the wrong name, and then he picks up, he's like, it's Helly. It's like, oh.
He keeps calling her like Heleny.
Yeah,
Heleny the whole
time.
Like
me when I was first trying to figure out the between their both.
And the immediate reaction and response from Any Mark is just...
That's when the face changes.
Well, it's Helly. And that's who I'm in love with. And it's just, complete
so now what do we do?
180. And Audi Mark now realizes he's like, oh, fuck, I think I just crossed a line.
And another dimension, to even just, which, honest to God, that could be one of, like, this is always a ridiculous thing to say, but, like, a top-tier moment in cinema for me. Like, the editing and the conversation and, like, you having to think about what the fuck they're doing there.
So cool.
But at the same time, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Of course, I shouldn't have dove into that too much. But it's this show just blows my mind.
One of my favorite moments in the conversation too is when they do a cut where Audi Mark is trying to get his innie to trust him again, and he's like, "Come on, man! Like, can't you see where I'm coming from? Can't you just trust me?" Hard cut to Any Mark, just setting himself up in frame. No. Cut.
No, because why would
that was the ultimate. I was like, oh my God. Audi Mark has lost him, and Any Mark is on it doesn't matter what he says now past this point. Oh, he's gone.
That's what I was going to go to, is the plan that they're trying to set up and what they are doing amidst, like, getting rid of the conversation and having to think about all that existential stuff and them talking is what they are talking about and trying to set up.
Yeah,
to where they have Audi Mark going into the elevator and going to work. To talk to Any Mark, to tell him in there and basically explain everything to him. And when Cobell kind of explains stuff to him, that he has to go to the next floor where he's going to become Audi Mark again.
Yep.
Get Gemma, who's going to be an innie Gemma when he goes in the room. When he becomes an outie Gemma when she goes into the hallway, and then becomes Casey and innie Mark when they're in the fucking
while they're
floor.
fucking kissing already.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy shit! Oh my god! And when Mark goes down the elevator and he kills the fucking fat guy,
just
because he turns into innie Mark, it's like, holy shit, man! This episode just keeps going. It's so
yeah.
Good.
Okay, so then kind of pushing past the conversation between innie and outie Mark, which is amazing, but. We get some of our first real, like, cool action scenes that were, like, badass. I was, like, really into it. Because at the start, it's, like, Mr. Drummond versus Mark. And I'm like, there's a weight difference here.
There's a little bit of a size difference.
They started off hot with him. Drummond is just tossing Mark. Like, literally like a sack of potatoes. Yeah. He's just fucking throwing him on the wall. And the whole time, what's her name?
Brienne of Tarth.
Brienne of Tarth is sitting in the room still with the gun to the lamb. Another aspect is like a sacrificial lamb gets heavy religious aspects in that
sacrificial lamb.
Like they're literally taking lambs to sacrifice them as like a blood sacrifice.
Yeah.
For I'm still a little iffy on like
there's still so many.
Yeah, like I'm still questioning some of those things where it's like, is that just shown to be like a real harsh religious pull, and that's how far they're going? Maybe, and if so, crazy. To have actual lambs that you're just breeding for the actual sake of sacrificing them. But some sick-ass action leading to, like, pretty pivotal death moments of Mr. Drummond dying, like we just said, with the thing, Mark going back down. The whole idea, like you're saying, too, with having to trace... God, Mark getting into Gemma's room.
It's so much.
And it's outie Mark, because he's on this testing floor, so he's not on the 7th floor. It's outie Mark, he sees Gemma, and he goes, holy shit. First time I'm seeing her, but she
covered in blood.
Yeah, but also he looks bad.
Never acknowledged.
She has no clue who he is.
Nope.
No idea.
She's some weird fucking fucked up idiot.
I think she knows in her head, like, wherever I am sucks ass, and I need to get the fuck out. If there's any chance that this happens, even a dude covered in blood, if he seems nice enough, I'm gonna go. And I think she's like inherently just like, fuck it, okay. Gets out the door, then turns into fucking Gemma. Huge, super emotional reunion of the first time.
But it's so quick.
Like, I think really well done, too, because that's how it would be.
You have to.
You couldn't have time to sit there and actually, like, talk about it. You are on, it's code red, the lights are going crazy, everyone knows you're fucking there. And you gotta go, but you actually do get a really emotional reunion between Mark and Gemma for the first time since even knowing either of, like, finally, the last thing they thought of each other was, at least from Mark's perspective, she's dead. I still don't know. No, we don't know how Gemma got there.
No, and that is the big like season 3 thing is why is it Mark and Gemma? Why are Mark and Gemma the people? Why are these the people that are so important? Why are these the ones that need to complete Blue Harbor? Cold Harbor. Yeah. Why is what the fuck happened in the car accident? Did she get in a car accident? Mark said he identified her burnt body.
Yeah,
so maybe. And again, there's just so much of this show. the twin things. So the twin things, I feel like is still from that episode where they go on the retreat and they have the twins, like those other copies of themselves.
Oh.
Those are real physical things, right? Those aren't like hallucinations they put in their brain.
Unanswered.
Yeah, unanswered. So if those are real things...
I still think about that.
Those are real things. So if that's a real... And I don't necessarily think this is just fun stuff to throw out there. What if Gemma's not even Gemma? What if Gemma is a fucking twin?
Here's... okay, coming back to the episode to kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
Pivotal moment. Mark and Helly are in the office. Mark's finishing the file. Yeah. And in that moment, this is okay.
Is Egan in the...
So, no, like... Or... This is going to kind of come into my theory of what I think is going to happen... a little bit, because this all connects, but...
Yeah, give it to me.
In the moment where Mark's finishing the file and Helly's there to watch him for some reason, she finally looks at him and goes, after they've kind of discussed and everyone knows what's happening, she looks at him and goes, do it. Finish it. I get it. I'm giving you basic, it's okay. You don't need to. And then she looks and says multiple times, I'm her. I'm her. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Is she really her? Like, literally her? Like...
Is she saying I'm Helly? Is she saying I'm Gemma? Is she saying I still sit on the I'm her thing where I'm like, Is she just reaffirming, I guess, that she is who she says she is, which is Helly, and she's like, go for it? Because either way, that does still key into my theory. So, getting to the end, passing up the whole marching band sequence, which we'll come back to.
So weird.
But either way, a plan to get Milchek in a room and distract him while Mark can do his plan.
Shout out Dylan with his hero moment.
Yes, absolutely. And Mark, we get to the point where Mark actually has Gemma, and he gets her to the door, to the stairwell to get out, and he gets her out.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at her for a long fucking time.
Way too long.
Long time, and just watches her.
One of these just...
And we have to remember this is any Mark. So any Mark does know more or less who he's looking at. He knows that's his Audi's wife.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not his love interest. And who decides to show up now, of all times, is Helly. Now. She shows up at that moment to be like, what's up? What's up? Hey, I'm here. And Mark then decides to go back. Why the fuck would Helly tell him to go through with it, but then at the last second, pull out? I don't think it's Helly. I think it's Helena. I think someone, because it's Code Red moment and everyone's been aware and it's now been time, I think someone got a hold of someone outside the building and was like, turn the switch. Fucking get that bitch in there. Get her in there.
Yeah.
Stop this. And I think they switched it. In the whole moment, we never see Helly get to Mark. All we know is Milchek tries to get out. He sees Dylan in the band. Helly's not there. And then Helly's at the fucking hallway with Mark. And I'm like, didn't she just say to do it? And now she's not. And I'm like, I don't think it's fucking her.
So you think it was her in the beginning, and then they switched her?
I do think, like you said, I didn't even know.
Contingency.
I didn't even think about it in the sense of her saying, like, I'm her. I'm reaffirming it's me, Helly. Because if that's the case, that makes sense for my theory. Is like, that's Helly in that moment saying, Mark, do it. End this shit for the greater good.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she's like, nah, no. Actually, fuck it all.
That makes a lot more sense. It still doesn't give me over the slight annoyance. It's not like it's not a real criticism. It was just like more of a me just being mind blown and happening at the end. Because when he chooses to go with Helly, which he knew was going to happen the whole time, that hallway scene was like way too long of him doing this. I'm like, okay, do something. What's going on here?
But I will say it got me to the point where I was on the edge of I was literally like, Mark, go out. Yeah. And then they hit you after long enough, and then they hit you with, here's Helly. And I was like, no,
the entire episode I was feeling like that.
No,
but my thought, I mean, if Helly is Helena, like you were saying, which makes sense to me, then that's whatever. But Mark, what is where are they running to?
So
where are they getting away? Where are they going? What are they going to do? They're going to be in this building still. They're still going to be fucked.
The theory goes a little further to try and explain.
Go deep.
I think because I've thought about this for long enough to try to get these answers. So I think Helly and Mark, and I think purposely the shot is of them going, and they start running together, holding hands, happy. But the end shot, they're not really happy. It kind of turns into like,
I thought it was the opposite. That they were like panicked and then they smiled.
No, they don't smile at the end shot. That freeze frame. It's not smiling. It is a little. It just, I think, purposely to be like, in the moment they're like, God, we're so cool doing this, and then you have time and you're like, oh fuck.
Or maybe Mark realizes.
Just kind of that moment of like, like, do we even know what we're doing? And I think at least from here, if it's Helena, she doesn't give a fuck. She's just trying to convince Mark to stay.
Yeah.
If it's Mark and Mark actually has a plan, I still think Mark's plan is to get everyone out and alive, and that's an any rebellion.
That makes sense.
And I
think
that's
right.
Good call. And so I think it's still any Mark, and I think his play is not fuck Gemma. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's him being like, I don't care about you, because I do think he feels and understands the weight of the moment. So I feel like his play is like he doesn't want to pick your poison. He didn't pick. He wants to fucking have his cake and eat it too. I don't know if it's going to work out. I think that's where the show has to hit like an ending of like, it can't all be good. Like this feels like there's no way Mark gets out and somehow lives a life with Helly and Gemma. That just doesn't exist. Especially with Helena in the game. It doesn't exist.
Unless they put their innies in their twins.
See,
that's what I'm saying. You could get into some crazy shit with that. Transferring consciousness.
But that's kind of my gist. I think with where everything sits, Dylan and the band are looking at Milchek, and Milchek has a feeling of like, well, I'm not going to be able to get... They got numbers on me. Okay, I literally can't do anything. And we've already seen some of Milchick's cracks now. He's been getting poked and prodded by this company so many times to where he's finally just like, when they give him one too many lines of shit, he looks back and he's like, stop.
Everybody now at this point, because there's Cobell, and then there's Milchick, and then you see a little bit, I forget her name. What's the assistant's name who talks for the board? Victoria or something? Or what's her?
The other...
Yeah, the lady who speaks for the board.
Yes.
She doesn't say anything, but she has like the face twitches things where she's like a little twitch in her face and like doesn't want to admit things. So everybody, it seems like, who works for Lumen has the things.
The exact moment of Milchick's obviously a black guy, and the girl you're talking about is also a black girl.
Yeah.
And they're the only two of any sort of race other than white, I feel like, in that building. And the whole, like, he got sent pictures.
Wong.
True. She got sent away pretty quick.
She did. She did.
They sent him pictures of Kier as a black guy.
So
and he goes and talks to her and to be like, "Did you get these too?" Like,
she says, "Is this fucking weird?"
And then she looks at it. She looks at him just kind of with a like, shut the fuck up. Stop talking about it.
Yeah.
We have jobs here, so don't talk about it. And it's definitely, I think, a pull of like heavy racism.
Natalie?
Like, yeah, it might be Natalie. But yeah, just the weird, like, this company knows they've got a good worker in Milchick. He's like the best worker you could ever ask for. Yeah, they just keep telling Drummond, just being like, stop using your big words, buddy. Just stop.
Stop being yourself.
Stop being yourself. Literally, just be someone different. And Milchick has broken enough times, or at least shown the cracks where I think he might not be full like fuck Lumen, but I think he's going to have to get forced into the process of like, look, Milchick, you get to pick a side. Do you want their side or our side? You got to choose.
Two things. I love that there's like almost an anti-Lumen resistance, almost like a superhero movie or like Terminator, bringing something simple of people fighting against the big corporation.
Feels right.
Because Cobell leaves, she joins up with Mark and Devin. They're building their little team. Milchick's probably going to be in there at some point, and it's fucking awesome. I love that they're building like almost a little resistance team.
I talked to a dude at work today who talks to me about it since I got him on it, and he's all caught up. He had a theory too where he thinks, and it totally could be true, we still aren't, I don't think nobody can be 100% at all on Cobell. She still she sits in a spot where it's like, is she just playing the game and picking a side that actually has kind of a push right now when it needs a push, and she's just sitting on the right side, and once it comes down to who gets the say at the end, I feel like she could come in and be like, hey, remember who made all this stuff? Oh, yeah, me.
But I do think...
I don't know what she uses that for.
Yeah. But I do think we at least at this point know that she is all for herself.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Whether or not that is what's best for her is to make Lumen succeed, because she's clearly diehard religious, because we see her by herself with the shrine to Kira and everything.
But she has a weird back and forth now. I think that's a lot of her episode has to hit with her facing the reality of her sister or her aunt and being like, God, you are a fucking weirdo. Like, I was getting to that point. Holy shit. Like, I need to pump the brakes, and kind of getting the backstory told to her through the show for us is like her aunt being like, just kind of spewing nonsense and just like propaganda and bullshit.
Tries to burn her shit.
Yeah, and then literally, grabs it and is like, fuck you, and takes Cobell back to this moment of like, oh my God, like,
this is company, what I've been in.
You're poisoned by it, and you just want everything for yourself still. Everyone else is poisoned by this fucking Lumen company. And it's like, I don't know if what she wants is like, do you just take it down, or does she want control for herself? Who knows?
But then you see her... And maybe this is just lingering of what she is and what she's been built up to be her whole life, because clearly she's been some sort of prodigy thing.
Yeah, she was like a savant child or something.
Her in the cabin when she's asked to speak to Mark privately, and they're having a normal conversation, and she's telling him like, "Hey, the numbers are Gemma. The numbers are the feelings of Gemma." But then she goes into full Cobell mode, and she goes angry, and she goes, "Mark, you are nothing, Mark." And I'm like, oh, still. So it's like, it is kind of like it seems like she's against Lumen, but she's still got her kind of Lumen religious tendencies and vibes in there. I
can see it just being, she's fully aware of knowing when to switch it on.
Yeah,
and when she needs,
I agree.
When she needs to do it and put Mark in that weird like fuck with your head position to get shit done and stop bullshitting, just like she goes into that worker mode and just kind of hits him with that.
Yeah, and I think that's what that is. It's just fun to just kind of play around and like, oh, maybe she is still Lumen.
Interesting character. Like, every character is so interesting. We don't know really. Gemma's out. What the hell is she going to do? Also, all she's seen, and she doesn't really know the full perspective of Severance, all she saw from her idea in her mind, she watched her husband walk away from her to a different woman and leave. Even if someone comes up to her and goes, no, understand, Severance, any mark, to me, this is where it goes pretty big, and it's like, would you be able to just look at that person the same way after that moment happened? She's literally crying, begging him to come out, and he just walks away. And it's like, holy shit. I don't know what that does, and I think it would still be that they hold on to like the love bond relationship, but that would do a lot of damage.
She would know what Severance is, though, right? Severance has been around for 10 years before she went in there.
I think
because doing the math and talking with Bert at dinner, and he said that the Severance program was started 12 years ago, and Gemma's been in the Severance thing, and she died 2 years ago. That's when Mark went into Severance. Yeah. So she would know that Severance existed for 10 years.
She would, and I think it's more of just her not fully understanding like the building they're in too, and being like she's getting tossed around a little bit. But either way, it's like
maybe not knowing the details.
The full details of like this plan you're in and a whole setup thing and why this actually happened. She's just getting pushed through doors, and she's like going through consciousness is like, what?
Dude, so many.
What's happening?
Oh my god,
what's happening? I've been 3 people in 5 seconds. What is going on?
Oh my god.
But no matter what, to have. God, so good. I just it was done so well to have the final moment be the choice of Gemma or Helly, and done so well with Gemma just like breaking down full on, like as the viewer you're like I was like hands on my head, literally like, Mark, oh my god, Mark, what are you doing? What are you doing?
But at the same time, I couldn't, because it's not Mark. It's any Mark. And like it makes more sense for him to go to hell. It makes way more sense.
I've had conversations with certain people too where I felt like they were trying to convince me like, well, there was no other way, or like, if you trying to convince me that going with one or the like was the definite answer. And I'm like, that's not how this works.
Hell no.
There really is no right. It's like, you have to be able to look at any Mark and know that he actually has a full love connection with Helly. He literally is in love with her. And he sees Gemma as just a person he needs to save. But he knows if he walks out the door, potentially everything he's looking at is gone, including himself. So it doesn't matter. All he wants and knows is to stay alive with this woman. If you were in his shoes, you'd probably pick Helly. Like, you wouldn't go for Gemma. And always knowing we're seeing both perspectives, why it's a good show. You get to wrestle with, you see all the perspectives. You've seen everyone's feelings. You feel all of it too. It's weird. It's conflicting. It's like,
you have to think about it. You have to think about all of them at the same time, because God, even excluding Gemma, because she's extra fucked. But there's the there's the innies and outies of Helly and Mark. So that is, I don't know, whatever that math is. You
also met in real life. That scene with both of their outies, and Helena is just there.
So you have to think about all of their, I'm going to call them personalities at this point, but you have to think about all of their personalities, interactions, and it's so much to think about. And then why I was saying you exclude Gemma, because Gemma
has like
opens
40.
the door for a million more.
She has like infinite personalities.
Yeah, a million more possibilities. I want to talk about this real quick, because it's hard with all the really dope shit and awesome things that are happening in the show, the big stuff, but the Dylan innie and outie note is fucking. And I saw this coming, and it was cool to see it come to fruition. And like, I know when I had the theory when they first had his wife Gretchen come in and sit down with Dylan, and I knew, I was like, and I was kind of saying like, oh, maybe she's not even real. Maybe Lumen just made her or whatever. Mm-hmm. But she ended up being real, and it's his actual wife on the outside. And once you figured that out, you knew, obviously, she was going to fall in love or like or kiss the innie Dylan. You kind of saw where this is going. But him writing the note and the outie Dylan and seeing the similarities of outie Dylan in writing this note to innie Dylan, who starts off the note by saying, first off, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You don't kiss my wife. And then saying, basically just going and saying, honestly, I'm jealous, and I like the idea that you exist because you are what I wanted, what I used to be with my wife. And I'm like, damn, dude, not only can they do all the amazing things with like the core part of the story, but you get the quote unquote side characters. I don't feel like there's too many side characters. Everybody's pretty crucial to the plot in the show. But you get the quote unquote side characters like Dylan, who go over stuff and explore themes like this and just thinking about how now the Audi Dylan only wants any Dylan to exist because he knows that the better version of himself is out there and he can't just be that version.
It makes
himself out there. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I did love the angle because I was getting worried for Dylan as like I love this guy. I really was hoping they don't try to go too far into the like her falling in love with the other person basically, and then not knowing like can she sit in this and like have two of the it's like I'm glad they kind of nipped it in the bud in the cool way of like no, Dylan is smart enough to realize like you don't fucking do this shit, this is weird, and it's like he is himself, and the way his innie kind of starts to like while reading it is kind of like like it's me, and
then he goes hero Dylan mode.
Well,
and you're like, let's go.
They both gain a weird confidence boost, and they both understand like for the other to exist that like they both need to exist for them to keep getting better, which is kind of crazy because for everyone else they're trying to escape. They're trying to escape their severance because they think it's making them a worse off or just a different version that they, they're not in control. You're not fully in control. Whereas
it's crazy because it's not even that simple. It's
it's not.
It's just so.
But Dylan's getting this weird thing where he's like kind of learning to live with it and learning how to just make the most of it. And try to like benefit. I don't know if that's where they keep going with it, but as of right now, I did like that in what is a pretty depressing show at times and like anxiety-ridden show to have a couple like, oh yes, kind of a good ending, like a good note in this. Yeah,
it is pretty overwhelming to think about this show at most times. Who is Cobell's? Who is the guy that she saw in the diner? Is that just another child who was working in the factory with her?
I think they just worked. Yeah, they've known each other since they were kids.
And he just hates Sissy because she's a psychotic.
Yeah.
Well, also, I like that they have their own unique drug for this universe where they
ether?
Ether. They just dump on there and
because I think that's.
I guess it's like chloroform.
A part of the theme is like Lumen came in, was doing all this shit, but then a drug trade went around at some point when they were there too, and got everyone hooked on it, and then Lumen just kind of left it in shambles, and now you've just got this shitty town of people who are all fucking hooked on drugs.
Why is it just permanently winter in this show? It's just permanently winter. This is all taking place in like
because if there
like
was
a month.
Any warmth, it just wouldn't feel right.
It feels dark.
It wouldn't feel right. It's like everything has to have an icy cold like chill to it. Everything is just like makes you not feel comfortable in some way, I think.
And a good aspect that I was talking about earlier, how we've talked about this many times. Season 1 goes out, a lot more questions. Season 2, at least for me in the beginning, more and more questions, and then comes back in at the end. While answering all that stuff, not answering all that stuff, but like getting closure is not the right word either, but just like, but just getting some satisfactory answers out of that stuff and like seeing what's going on with all that. At the same time, they introduce a whole new aspect with the Cobell episode where when she goes to that town, and you're like, okay, so Lumen had these child labor factories that they indoctrinated to believing in their religion, and then used them to recruit, or maybe it's just a Cobell specific thing, but that makes me think, was Milchek in one of these kind of things?
Probably.
But then they recruit them to be the managers of the severed floor because they need unsevered people to manage these severed people. But also, it was before. Actually, I guess it makes sense that Cobell would be that because she's the one who created it, and they know that in the behind the scenes. But what I was initially getting at is that like maybe they create these people just to manage the severed floor because they need people that are indoctrinated to the religion. But just the Cobell revelation of learning that she made everything, I felt like was just jumped over so quick because it was moving so fast at the last couple episodes there because there was so much happening and other answers that needed to go down. So like, I just wonder what. I don't know. I don't even have specific questions about it, but I think about it a lot.
I think, because it just tells us more about her, which gives us a little more information, as I think,
and Lumen
to why she's doing what she's doing, in some way. Again, I'm never 100% on her stance, but it's like I can now definitely see why she would like wreck her fucking shrine she has to Kier, because it's like I think she's been holding out, thinking like they're gonna reward me at some, like I'm gonna finally get that promotion, or like maybe they'll finally respect me. But then they were trying to can her and put her in spots to give her nothing, and she was like, fuck off, no, like I'm not doing this.
I love the way she just handles it.
And that's like from the moment.
She's like, oh.
From the moment she got dealt a new deal for Lumen to be like, come on in, you can basically just get paid, but we're not going to do anything. Like, you're just no one. And she was like, fuck no. I immediately left to go basically find the plans that she knows she has her handwriting written and being like, all this is mine. All the ideas, inventions, all of it is mine. Just to kind of come, I hope it was like to walk in and just big dick everyone and be like, what do you want? Like,
the sissy aunt just being like, oh, this is intriguing or whatever, and then just panic and
and then just
like we already talked about. But like just her having the revelations, like because she's like being directly conflicted with this thing that she die hard believes in, and like this is my religion, this is everything. And like that kind of proves everything I've always thought in my probably 80 years of life is all wrong.
It just makes everything. You look at the dude who's been claiming he's so fucking smart, he's this big genius, and it's like you didn't do any of it. You're just a guy. It's just power for power's sake.
Do you have a theory of what the fuck they're trying, what the significance and importance is of Cold Harbor and getting Mark and Gemma to the finish line, whatever whatever the hell that means?
So Cold Harbor to me was like, they put the things in front of her that were gonna potentially most break the Severance barrier. So it was like the moments of her rebuilding or taking apart the crib
that Mark
had built it, and they have all their stressful times as a couple with the miscarriage and not being able to have a child, and all their like really tough times is wrapped up in that thing. And so the idea was like, if we can actually, and I think they play the music too that's happening. They know the song, they're like playing it, and then she's just sitting there going through her stuff, no idea who she is or what's happening. And then those two, like both James Egan and the other dude, the doctor guy, are just watching like, nice, it's working. Like, even with all this in front of her. And not going to lie, though, it's kind of something to be asked. When Mark walks in, is the barrier of Severance being broken? And
I did think about that.
Is that why she's going with him?
Yeah.
Because that would be, in that moment, the actual thing that would push her fully to being like, Who's this guy? I feel like I know this guy.
And that's why you can say, oh, fuck. And I like that they cut to him like 2 or 3 times saying, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Like, and him being like just this watcher is still weird. Like, it's just a power game for him. But, yeah, there's so many levels to it. I still can't fully get it, like all the answers from this, which is why it's like, I hope 3 seasons. Like, it feels like 3 seasons because I don't know. I almost just feel like if it goes longer, there's just no way it keeps up at this quality.
At this point, now that we've finished season 2, it's like, holy shit, this show is moving fast. Whereas at first, I thought it would be so slow. And I know we made the Lost comparison last week, just because of a YouTube video that I watched, and it was like, yeah, it's kind of at that level right now, where these 2 seasons of television are peak and are top tier. In my opinion, and yours, from what you've said, is like one of the better shows ever. I
love it
now.
It's too good not to talk about when it's just like so. Honestly, I'm never looking at my phone. I'm never trying to look at when the episode's over. I'm just locked in from start to finish, and I'm like you said, we've talked about just always making me think. I'm always like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. Whoa, I've never thought about that like that. Like,
and having to think, like we said with the Mark camera episode, talking to himself, of just having to think super deep about these things, while also having to pay attention to the plot and what is actually happening and how that moves forward, while you're trying to think about like how. Okay, so like, what is he thinking and feeling about? What? And this is happening. Oh, and he just realized that. Oh my God, they have the same feeling. Yeah. Like, you're just having all that happening at the same time. It's happening constantly. That's like the peak of it, I think. But the whole time you're watching the show, it's just breaking your brain constantly, and you're so invested in the story. And there's still so much mystery, and that does give me the vibes and make me think kind of about Lost too, where and Lost. I don't want to keep comparing it to that because Lost fumbled the ball so hard and ended up just being stupid. The smoke monster was nothing. It was just ended up being purgatory. It was really boring and dumb. I really hope that they actually have a plan and like an end goal to this series and like know what it's going to be to just make it.
I would think that they they know that. They're fully aware of like, we have to end this, and if we don't, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And like, we got to end it.
They got to make money.
Yeah, but I think that's just where it comes down to a guy where it's like, I don't know how. I wouldn't know like all the ins and outs, but if Ben Stiller is really the guy fronting this, it's like he doesn't need the money.
I keep forgetting about that.
It's like I know he doesn't need the money, and this feels like something he's doing because he loves the idea and concept so much, and he clearly has a passion for wanting to make this as good as it can be. And there's just nothing in it for the sake of just being like, yeah, let's just put that in there. I guess that works. Like, there's no, I guess that works. It's all like, yes, this is what we do.
When I was talking about the retreat episode, and I was saying in the beginning, I was saying because I was watching it with Dylan, I was like, so far this feels like filler, and this is the first filler thing I've experienced in this episode, in this show, and that's like halfway through it, maybe not even halfway through it, maybe 10 or 15 minutes into it. And then things start really happening. Irving starts calling out Helly, and then you figure out the Helena thing, and then you learn about how dedicated Milchek is when he reads the story, and they laugh at him, and he gets so mad. Which maybe that was set up on purpose too.
But the Helena to Helly reveal was enough for me to be like,
"Oh yeah, we're in the shit."
I was like, "Bro, so when? How long? Huh?"
Yeah,
like,
there's so much. Immediately, again, makes you think way far back. You're like,
just that one moment. It's not just a like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Okay, on to the next thing. It was this thing that's like, oh my gosh, wait. Pause the show. I got to think
that's
for a second.
I didn't pause it.
I got to think for a second. How far back has she just been a psyop on herself inside the fucking building?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? Like, this is crazy.
This kind of changes everything, potentially.
For me, I was like, this fully changes everything because any mark, it just, the trust and certain things and the boundaries of relationships, and then just knowing, oh, this proves that any mark is dedicated to any mark. Like, he likes his life. He's learning to like this life.
Yeah.
And that's big. It's like, that's the only way the only way Audi Mark gets what he wants is if any mark gives in and says, okay, fine. But it's like, I could see somehow where they try to find a way maybe to allow Severance to exist. No, I don't think that can happen. It's either exists or it doesn't, because I just don't think anyone in power has the ability to contain and like logically regulate this thing and not get carried away.
They're gonna have to transfer the consciousness to twins.
I mean,
that's what they're gonna have to do. I'm still freaked out about the twins because they have a chip implanted in their head, so it could very easily just be a hallucination they put in their brain, and they're not real things. Or they're fucking Mickey 17 people and they're printing humans.
That's like I'm still not out.
Who knows?
I'm not off the cloning train yet, because I feel like there's not enough answers where I'm like, they could just have another answer for potentially the lambs. That's or the goats, whatever. Like, isn't that one of the main things we've used to actually clone stuff and have done before is lambs? Not that makes any sense. I'm just connecting that, but like.
Oh my god, this is one thing that I wanted to talk about that we kind of glossed over and I forgot. The Cure robot. Is that thing fucking sentient?
I think there's just a dude on the other end who's controlling it.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I'm leaning
because they talk. Milchek and him talk directly to each other, where it's like the guy starts poking at Milchek during it, and Milchek is finally like, "Stop fucking around with me."
Yeah. Well, and I know that's a long shot, and it's not necessarily exactly what I think. Again, with most of the things, it's just fun to think and dive into these thoughts of this show. But I'm like, did they somehow figure out how to keep this dude's consciousness, and they've got him in a robot?
I mean,
I don't think it's that. I think it's just what you said. Some guy talking on the other end.
Well, if what they say is true about like the numbers are Gemma, what they're doing it could be used to block things, and it could be used to allow things. You could reverse engineer it. Like, the end goal of doing of the Severance is to block memories of some sort. But to some, it's like you could reverse it on yourself and use it in a way to, I just want to be able to escape from all the bad things in life, just for a split second almost. Just for that one little moment or so of like time. And it's
your days are half as long.
Yeah,
so
like
you don't have to deal with
it's like if the end goal is a Severance thing where you have the ability to just I don't even know. Not enough has been answered. I'm still questioning it.
Other two different things. Maybe they could be, and these are really really far out there theories, but they could be making and doing all this and trying to control human consciousness because they want to bring back here.
Well, is it?
Or maybe he's here, or they want to put him in a body, in everybody's body.
Culty religious vibe that goes as far as like, well, they're so devout for this family or guy. It's like they could be pushing to try to resurrect or find a way to recreate consciousness, to understand human consciousness to some level, or the human, like Cobell says, it's the human mind. Like it's her mind you're building, basically.
God, Or it's a slightly lower tier than that, and they're just trying to figure out how to mind control everybody, which kind of seems like a boring answer. Like, it seems like that would be what they'd be doing with Gemma and how they ended that, because like, oh, she feels nothing, she has no connection, there's nothing. We can put this in people, and then we have them. It's done. And that one seems a little more boring to me.
It seems too implausible. I think from like if these are real people in a real world. Someone stepping in at the moment there's no way this wouldn't leak information and people wouldn't be understanding like this is happening. There's a company that exists that's doing this and they're trying to just straight up like full on control people. Like that's it. They just want to know how to regulate. Yeah, just they want to know how to be able to read everything in your mind and control everything going in and out, basically. And like that's a huge like 1984 Big Brother-esque thing. It's like, is it
Elon Musk neurotrip?
Yeah, is it to control people and just be able to say do this, or is it to implant memories and things? Because that's another weird way you could go about it. Is like the whole concept of if they're building someone's mind. It's like, are you building someone's mind off of nothing? Therefore, it's not them, or is this in essence like a person that you're rebuilding? Like, how does that work? That's so big of a question.
You know that and I think it's called Ship of Theseus story. Do you know what that is? Maybe. So to put it really simply, and one of the really cool things, this is a Marvel show, quick tie back to WandaVision, which was a good show up until like the last episode, where it was just CGI nonsense fights. But Vision, do you know what Vision is? Yeah. There's another version of Vision in the show that the actual Vision fights. God, the camera keeps turning off. But they basically have a conversation about the Ship of Theseus, which is probably a Greek story where you have a ship that's called Theseus, and it's been around for, let's say, 100 years, and it's been damaged and rebuilt so many times, and now it's being rebuilt so many times that there's not a single part of it that was originally part of the original ship.
Yeah.
So is it still the Ship of Theseus?
Yeah.
And it's like those kind of weird concepts.
Yeah.
Like what you were just saying with the consciousness, if you have nothing in there, but if you build it from something, or if you build it from nothing, or like what it is that really still what it originally was? Like, it's kind of a weird.
Because it's like if you're able to have a group of people who are rebuilding someone's mind based off just these numbers, clearly based off Mark's feelings. Like the key central point, Mark, his feelings, and rebuilding all these weird moments. And it's like it's keying in on all the specific. Not sins, but whatever, like woe, malice, like all those weird things. Those are the bins. He's putting all the things in, all her bad feelings and bad memories and all these whatnots. But it's like, if you did, like, they got Gemma, did they just scan her? And now they have this collection of data that you can analyze. It's like, I guess, maybe, I don't know. It's way too big of a question still, where it's just like...
Everything's so big of a question.
And I think if you get too far into the details, you're going to lose what like the magic of the show is.
Yeah, I think some people do.
You got to have a true, like, obviously, this isn't real. This isn't happening in real life. But the connections to how it feels in certain ways is really crazy. All the analogies to real life. And it's like, you obviously need a little bit of a suspension of disbelief here and there to understand, not get too bogged up in the details and like the literal stupid numbers. They're just numbers.
If you're gonna enjoy something, you have to have that level of suspension.
To get to that, like, but they actually are just numbers. That's impossible to rebuild. Yeah, I know. That's not the fucking point.
Yeah, and I think there's some people that do watch the show, and that, like, I've heard a few people's opinions about it. Like, and they do admit, they're like, oh, it's not a bad show. It's not like it's bad. It's just like, this is just dumb, and I don't get that. And then maybe it's a level of not suspending their disbelief enough, or they're like trying to make too much sense of something that's way too complicated and way too difficult. And I get that. But at the end of the day, I still have not heard anybody say this show is bad. I haven't even heard anybody say this show is anything short of like really good, if not great. Anybody. It's just, it's so thought provoking and so well written, so well shot. The editing is fucking fantastic. Anyways, I was gonna wrap it up there.
There it is.
Well, now it's working. So I don't know what happened. We'll find out how much that cut out of everything. But we're wrapping up. Watch Severance season 2. Yeah, it's dope.
It's good.
TV right now is really fucking great. Movies a little lackluster, but TV is fucking awesome right now.
It's not movie season.
So Invincible, The Dune Show, The Penguin, and now Severance. All watching these, it's been so fucking good. Movies a little lackluster. Maybe we'll get some better stuff later this year.
I think I do have an idea for my next show that I'm going to watch because I want to watch The White Lotus.
Oh, that's more Apple TV stuff, right?
That's Max, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
Never mind, I was wrong. Well, thanks everybody. Sorry about the little hiccup there. I don't know exactly what happened. I'll figure it out in post. But thanks for stopping by. Let us know what you thought of Severance. If you have any theories, what you think about Cody's theories, because I think Cody's are pretty good. Definitely changed my opinion on the ending of season 2. But yeah, leave us a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and let us know what you think we should watch next. Other than that, have a good rest of your day. Bye.